Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today for this webinar, Relocating to Spain, Visa and Financial Insights for British Citizens and Expats. I trust it will be very valuable for all. If you don't mind, we will be waiting a couple of minutes to give time to all the attendees to join the session before starting. So we'll be starting at 10:32. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. Good morning again to all of you, to the recent people who just arrived. And on behalf of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in the UK, I would like to give you a warm welcome to this morning's webinar. Today, we are going to take a closer look at living in Spain as a UK citizen or as a Spanish expat returning home after more than 5 years. Relocating from the UK to Spain post-Brexit comes with new residency and visa requirements, which we'll try to help you all navigate with the expert knowledge of Anna Kletsova, partner at international law firm Klev Vera, and Barry Davis, partner and financial advisor at Spectrum IFA Group. Klev Vera is a boutique law firm which offers premium legal services to international investors and businesses in Spain. It consists of a multilingual team of lawyers and paralegals, each of them with international background and specializing in different areas of legal practice. Anna Kletsova has more than 20 years of legal practice in international law and is a certified lawyer with the Bar Association of Barcelona. She holds a LLM in International Human Rights Law from England, from which she received a full scholarship on merits, and a master's degree in international law in Abogacía Internacional in Spain. Kletsova advises British clients on immigration and investment strategies to Spain and assists in implementing them. On the other half, the Spectrum IFA Group is a firm of international financial advisors for British expats in Spain. They help British people in Spain navigate the Spanish tax system, liaise with local experts for clients, have a service to explain what financial actions need to be taken before and after a move to Spain, use investments that are tax efficient in Spain, and assist how to deal with inheritances and inheritance planning in Spain. Barry Davis, an ex-RAF accounts officer, has been an independent financial advisor in the UK for 21 years and now has 19 years of helping expats living in Spain. As an expat himself, he has experienced firsthand how to deal with ISAs, UK pensions, and even receiving an inheritance. Using cash flow modeling tools, he helps expats secure their family's financial future. Well, as a friendly reminder, this session is being recorded so that we can share it with you later. Throughout the duration of the session, you can submit your questions via the Q&A function, and they will be answered by Anna and Barry following the presentation. Now, without further ado, I'll hand over to Anna Kletsova, partner at Klev Vera International Law Firm. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. So I will talk to you about different visa options that are most popular for British citizens. And I would start by guiding you through the complex immigration law that exists in Spain. So we have currently three types of laws, three types of regulations that you see here. The first one is a royal decree that was approved in 2007, and it applies to the citizens of the European Union and their family members. It is the one that was applicable to British citizens before Brexit, but it is no longer the case. No? So we will go to one of those two acts that apply now. And we have an International Mobility Act of 2013, which regulates such categories as highly skilled professionals, researchers, intra-company transfers, digital nomads. It is the same act that regulated the famous golden visas, but starting from 3rd of April, it is no longer an option. And then we have a General Immigration Act from the year 2000 that applies to all other groups that are not covered by the previous two. And these are the immigration options and different visa options. They are really plenty. We will only concentrate on those ones which are the most popular and most frequently requested by our British clients. No? So we have different groups here. We have the one for residents only, those who want to live in Spain. Then we have the option of remote work from Spain, but for a different company abroad. Then we have several work visas, both on payroll or as self-employed. And finally, the last block that we cover will be different family members visas. So we will start by the residence visa, that's also called a non-lucrative visa. It is basically for those ones who have some stable source of income, sufficient financial resources that can live in Spain without working. It is a very popular option between the retirees and those who are self-sufficient and perhaps considering to take a gap year or just relocating to Spain and don't need to work in Spain or anywhere else. And the main requirements for this visa are to have basically a stable passive income and also to have healthcare covered in Spain and not become a burden for the Spanish healthcare system. And all those visas, they also require to have a clean criminal record for the past 5 years at least. So yes, this visa is ideal for those who want to retire in Spain or live in Spain without working. And initially it is given for 1 year, renewal for 2 years, and then it gives an opportunity to apply for a permanent residency and nationality if you want to after 10 years of living in Spain. And this visa allows you also to join with your family members. The application process is done through the Spanish consulates in the UK. You will need to go to apply in person, and all your family members will have to go in person as well, even if they are just newborn babies. The initial visas are for 1 year, and the processing time is usually around 2 months, but delays are possible. And the renewals are done from Spain without leaving. And it is not possible to apply for this visa from Spain. Here I thought it may be interesting for you to see which consulates Spain has in the UK. So you see that there are 3, London, Manchester, and Edinburgh. And you can only apply to the consulate that officially corresponds to your address in the UK. No? So if you live in London, you have to go to the consulate in London, and you cannot go to any other consulate because they are not responsible for your territory. The second most popular option now is the so-called digital nomad visa, and it covers those who have employment abroad. No? So if you work on a payroll in a British company, or if you own your own business, or if you work as an independent contractor, and you have sufficient income from your employment, currently about 2,200 euros per month for the main applicant, and then additional amounts for family members, you can consider getting this visa. So it's basically ideal for those who want to keep the employment in the UK without changing anything, but being physically in Spain and working from here and enjoying all those advantages that Spain has. And with this visa, you can also include your immediate family. One important requirement for this visa is that you need to have your social security covered. No? So the UK and Spain have bilateral social security agreement that it is actually one of the very few in the world that specifically covers remote work. No? So if you are on a payroll of a British company, your employer only needs to request this form that's called certificate of coverage, and you see here the exact name. So the British company can continue paying the UK national insurance, and you will have all your employment without any change, but physically working from Spain. If this for some reason is not done, then your British employer will be required to open a work center in Spain, and you will be assigned to that working center. But it is not that frequently used because it has more costs and has additional reporting obligations for your employer, so it is much easier for them to get the certificate of coverage and applicable legislation. On the other hand, if you have your own business or if you are an independent contractor and working not on a payroll but by providing services, you can also relocate as a digital nomad, but then you will be required to register in Spain as a freelancer, as autónomo, as it's called in Spanish. And you will have to file some reports and taxes in Spain and also pay social security contributions here. In exchange, you will have access to the public healthcare system. How is the application process? There are two ways. If you are in Spain legally as a tourist, for example, you can apply directly from Spain and you can request your residence permit online. Or if you are in the UK and you want to have your residency approved before you relocate, you can go to the consulate and get a 1-year residence visa. So the advantage of applying from Spain is that you can get directly a residence permit for 3 years, which is more convenient. But if you have your residence visa for 1 year, after it expires, you can go for the residence permit as if you were applying for it from the beginning. Then the group of work visas. Work visas refer to those ones who are actually being hired by a Spanish company on a Spanish employment contract. So in order to apply for this one, you must have a job offer already, like a draft job contract from a Spanish company, and your position must meet criteria for a highly qualified role. And you need to, of course, prove that you have a relevant degree, a university degree, or a relevant professional experience aligned with the position. And typically, it applies for the roles of managers, technical expert, researchers, etc. And the minimum salary that qualifies for this visa is 40,100 euros as of now. This visa initially is issued for 3 years and you can renew it for 2. You can join with your family members from the beginning. You will be covered completely by the Spanish public healthcare system. And one of the most attractive advantages of this scheme is that you can also qualify for so-called Beckham law, that my colleague Barry will talk to you later a little bit about it. And I forgot to mention that the digital nomad visa on the payroll would also qualify you for the Beckham law, but the autonomous visa wouldn't. And the application process is slightly different because whenever you have a sponsoring company, it must be the sponsoring company that first initiates the request for a work permit authorization. So your Spanish employer would file an application online to the immigration office in Spain, and it would be approved within 20 working days. And then 2 conditions that you see here. If you were legally present in Spain when your employer requested your residence authorization, then you can start working immediately and then just apply for your residence card. Or if you were outside, then you will need to pass by in person to the Spanish consulate to request your entry visa. It is a special visa that is issued for work permits, and it's issued basically in a very fast time, within 10 working days. And then you come in Spain, you start working, and you request your residence card. The intra-company transfer is also a work visa that refers to those who are on a payroll, but it is slightly different because it has that temporary element. No, it refers for those who are sent to Spain on a temporary basis, but by your British employer, because the British employer have a subsidiary or branch in Spain and they need you there for some time, or because they have a client in Spain and they want you to attend that Spanish client for whichever task. And there are certain requirements, like you must work at least for 3 months for the company to demonstrate relevant expertise, etc. And also to request that social security coverage as if you were to relocate as a digital nomad. So this visa is also initially issued for 3 years, or for the period of your relocation, according to the letter from the company. You can take together, you can come with your immediate family members, and you would qualify for the Beckham law in Spain as well. And your work in Spain would be recognized in the UK under the Social Security Treaty. The application is similar to the regular work permit. So your Spanish branch or your Spanish client requests a work permit authorization. And then if you were abroad, you go to the consulate to get an entry visa, or if you were in Spain legally, then you can start working immediately. Now we move to the group of self-employed visas, and here we distinguish between a so-called startup visa and the regular self-employed. The main difference is that startups are those who have some sort of element of innovation and scalability, and this requires a recognition and approval from one special agency that's called ENISA. And you will need to prove certain requirements, like you have a team with sufficient experience, that you have potential to create jobs, to generate impact in Spain, etc. And it has certain benefits and tax incentives. Apart from Beckham law, there may be also some tax benefits for your business. And it's ideal for those who want to relocate to Spain to start this kind of project, because it has many advantages, not only tax, but other support that the Spanish government provides. And the family members can apply together with you in this visa. The application process is a little bit more complex because you need to prepare a business plan and get it approved by ENISA. And then the residence authorization is approved by the immigration office, and the same. If you were in Spain, you start working on your project, or if you were abroad, you will go to the consulate to get an entry visa. On the other hand, regular self-employed is for any other businesses that then don't fall into a category of a startup. So you will need to prepare a viable business plan, prove your skills, etc., and apply under the general immigration law that is a little bit more complex. One very important difference is that initial visas are issued for 1 year. You can renew them for 4 years, but your family members can only join after your initial residency was renewed for that 4 years period. So for the first year, you will be separated from your family unless they have any other independent residence. So for this procedure, because it is issued under the general immigration law, you cannot actually apply from Spain. You must submit it through the Spanish consulate in person and wait for a significant period. Normally, well, by law, it's 3 months, but in practice, it very frequently takes much longer. The initial visas are issued for 1 year and renewed for 4. Now we move for a block of visas for family members. And here I must mention that we have we are going to have a very significant change of general immigration regulations in Spain. From 20th of May, there will be enforced a new immigration law that modifies many procedures, including separating family members' visas for Spanish citizens in particular. No? So before they were all covered by the directive of the European citizens, of the EU citizens. But now there will be a difference. If your family member is French or German, you will need to apply under one procedure. But if your family member, for example, your partner, is a Spanish national, you will have to go under the special new procedure established by the general immigration law. So your family member must be already living in Spain or relocate together with you. No? So who can apply? It can be your spouse or registered partner or unregistered partner with proof of stable relationship before you relocate to Spain. And then you see the difference between Spanish and Europeans. No children under 21 for Europeans, but under 26 for Spanish citizens. And then it's possible also to join with your dependent parents or other dependent family members under certain conditions. So these permits are issued for 5 years straight away, and they renewed for 5 years for Spanish citizens, as we understand from this new immigration procedure that is not in force yet, but will start in May, or they are renewed for 10 years for EU citizens family member. And the application process, again, it may be a little bit confusing, but we need to distinguish between the family members of Spaniards and European citizens. For EU citizens, you travel to Spain and apply from here because you don't need an entry visa just to enter Spain. So you file your application to the immigration office of the province where you will live. Or if you are a family member of the Spanish national, you may consider filing it online through the consulate, or in some circumstances, you can travel to Spain and your family member, like your main applicant, can apply from here. But then you will need still to get an entry visa because this new process will be different from the regular European citizens. And finally, one very frequently used permit as well is for those British citizens who were living in Spain before Brexit took place. No? So before the 1st of January 2021, if you or your family member, well, like both of you would have certain rights under the withdrawal agreement. The withdrawal agreement does not cover future family members except future children. So if, let's say, you are a British citizen who are living in Spain before Brexit, and you got married to somebody post-Brexit, and you want to join your spouse to join you in Spain, you would need to go now under the general immigration law through the procedure that's called regular family reunion. And this procedure would cover your spouse, your registered partner, or unregistered partner with proof of stable relationship previous to relocating in Spain. No, that may be a little bit complicated in this case. Children in this regular procedure are permitted under 18 or dependent. And it also covers dependent family members or others under certain conditions. And this new law that will take place, which will start on the 20th of May, also provides for the possibility for one adult child to travel to Spain to take care of a British citizens with recognized dependency. The application process is actually one of the most complex of all that we've seen until now, as it requires also a previous step that's called apartment evaluation report. So your family member who lives in Spain will first need to file a request to the town hall of the city where he or she lives, and wait for them to respond, or well, at least wait for 1 month before filing a request to apply for the residence authorization to join with their family members to the immigration office in the province where they live. And this will now be processed through a reduced period of 2 months before, well, now still until 20th of May, 3 months. And after the immigration office approves the residence, then you can go to the consulate to get your entry visa and finally move to Spain. So that's it from me. And now I am passing the floor to Barry Davis, who will continue about the financial insights.
Anna, thank you very much. And if, right, I'll just bring my screen up for you. Bear with me one moment. Alice, could you just pull up the screen, please? Bear with me one moment.
No problem. I can do it as well, Barry.
Okay, thank you, Miriam.
Anna,
thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Anna, for the visa presentation. For my part, I'll be looking today at how tax is different in the UK from Spain. What do I need to do to be being aware of these differences? There are some things that need to be done before leaving the UK, others that are best and necessary to do after arriving in Spain. And then why is it essential to get some help when we become an expat in Spain? And then just how to get in contact if you want to follow up, because it's not possible to discuss your personal circumstances on the webinar at the moment. So if we could start with how is tax different in Spain than in the UK? Well, I think the first thing to say is that there are similarities. So we have an employment income tax approach, which is similar to the PAYE scheme in the UK. And perhaps unsurprisingly, we have inheritance tax in both countries. The things that are different is it starts with the tax year. The tax year is the calendar year in Spain, not from the 6th of April to the 5th of April as it is in the UK. And that makes a difference for things like reporting. If we have assets in both countries, you have different tax reporting dates, etc. That complicates it just a little bit. But it also is important to understand that any actions we take apply to the calendar year, not the tax year in Spain. Another difference is that in the UK, if we're only resident in the UK for part of the year, then they have a part tax year system in the UK, which we don't have in Spain. It's a full calendar year or nothing in Spain. Wealth tax, we have wealth tax in Spain on worldwide assets, and that's different because at the moment we don't have wealth tax in the UK. The income and capital gains from investments are taxed in a completely different tax code from the employment income that we have. Rental income is also considered to be earned income in Spain, and so is the pension income. So income from our pension is also taxed as income tax rather than the savings tax that comes from things like dividend income and capital gains. We have 17 different autonomous communities in Spain. These are different regions, and there's a comparison between the system in the US, where different states, we have state taxes and we have federal taxes. And even in the UK, we have the ability for the Scottish Parliament to raise taxes in Scotland, which are different than the UK. Same here happens with all the autonomous communities. And as a consequence, we have lots of different tax rates, allowances, etc. And so it's really important to know where you're looking to move to, which autonomous community you're going to, and get advice specifically about that community. A really big change, and this is one which people in their receiving an inheritance in Spain don't necessarily appreciate, but inheritance tax in Spain is levied actually on the person who receives the inheritance, the beneficiary, not as in the UK on the estate of the person. And so that can lead to some planning opportunities. And because of a change of tax in the UK to a residency basis for inheritance tax, actually, for those of us who've been here for 10 years or more in Spain, it's actually providing a great deal of opportunities. It's going to take you 10 years to do your 10 years here, so I won't go through in detail at the moment, but just to say that there are inheritance tax planning opportunities which have arisen through this change of UK law. In Spain, we have inheritance tax between spouses, whereas in the UK, we have an interspousal allowance. I mention this one in particular because I've seen people come across and buy a house, joint names perhaps, not realize that there's inheritance tax between spouses. If one person passes away, then the other one actually has to pay inheritance tax on the amount, the value of the half that they receive from the deceased person. If you don't have enough funds to pay that inheritance tax, it becomes a problem. And so again, this is something we highlight quite early on and just trying to get the balance right for people, keeping cash available versus how much they pay for the house. The other one which comes up regularly is there is no tax-free cash lump sum from pensions as there are in the UK. So if we can move on one slide, please. Okay. The things that we need to be aware of coming from these differences starts with when you become tax resident. If we Google when am I a tax resident in Spain, you will see reference many, many times to the 183 days, but it's 183 days in a calendar year. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if from day one you make Spain your home, your main residence or a centre of economic interest, or, for example, if your spouse and minor children live across here before you come across, you will still be considered to be tax resident from that day. And I think it's important to say that there is a formal form to join the Spanish tax system, but to be considered tax resident, you only have to meet one of these criteria to become a de facto tax resident, even if you haven't completed the forms. Now, that means that some actions we need to take before we become tax resident in Spain, and others actions to be taken after we arrive in Spain, especially if we're actually moving from the UK. So could we have a look at those, please? Okay, the first thing is that because it's the calendar year and there's no part year in Spain, you should consider selling your main residence in the UK, your ISAs, and if you're over 57, taking your tax-free cash from your pension before you leave the UK. Now, at this point, I'll just mention the Beckham law that Anna mentioned is available with a number of the visas. The Beckham law actually provides a tax rate of 24% up to 600,000 euros per year income. But a really important part of the visa is that for investments and basically investment income and capital gains outside of Spain, whilst you're on this Beckham law, they are free from income tax and capital gains tax in Spain. So if you're coming to Spain and you are certain to get the Beckham law, then actually the selling it the calendar year beforehand becomes less important. But for the majority of people who come on the other types of visas, selling in the calendar year before you move to Spain is important. And I think it's best demonstrated by an example. And so if we look at a situation where, let's say you sell the house in the UK in January, but don't move to Spain until November. So you're not going to be in Spain for 183 days. But if you bought your house in Spain in November and you make that your main residence, you will have been tax resident in Spain for the whole calendar year. The sale of your UK house in January will be assessed for capital gains tax on the gain from when the house was purchased to when you sold it. And if you all think of your individual situations, if you've had the house a few years, the gain can be quite substantial. And so this is an important part of what to do in terms of the preparation before you actually move to Spain. The same applies to ISAs and the tax-free cash from pensions. But if the ISAs were sold and you've taken the tax-free cash in the January in this example, and you've got your new main residence in November in Spain, the ISA sale will be assessable for capital gains tax, and the tax-free lump sum, all of it, is added to your employment income and will be taxed in accordance with income tax rates. So it's really important to specify that your individual circumstances will dictate what needs to happen before, and you need to get professional advice from Spain before deciding what actions to take. I'll just clarify that, if I may, that the actions need to be taken, sorry, the advice needs to be taken from Spain, not just from the UK, because if you take advice from the UK, you'll actually get a UK-centric degree of advice, but you're moving to Spain and Spain will become your controlling tax authority. And so it's critical that you get advice from Spain as well, because it's the Spanish tax authority who are going to be making the assessment of whether or not you are a tax resident, whether your gains will actually count in that calendar year. So I'd just highlight that, and we can actually help out with getting that advice if that's required. When you get to Spain, the first and very simple thing, but again, it's something that we see people have difficulty with. If you come to Spain, you need to keep an emergency fund in a straightforward bank account that you can access, because you're going to have some known cost, for example, furnishing a house, but you're going to have some unexpected expenses as well. And I think just about all of us who've moved here have had things crop up that we didn't know we were going to have crop up when we moved. But it's important because often we see people overbuy on a house and then leave themselves short of the emergency fund. And this starts their time in Spain with a difficult situation. And if you get in a difficult situation, it's much more hard work to catch up and find yourself in a place where it's a more enjoyable experience. So another question that comes up regularly is, you do not have to move your pensions. People ask this all the time, do I have to move my UK pensions? No, you don't. And indeed, in many cases, your pension should be left in the UK. Now, again, I'll caveat that with your individual circumstances will be the deciding factor here, but in many cases, they should be left in the UK. And so how do we work things out here? Well, take financial advice as well as soon as possible after arrival in Spain from a professional and regulated advisor in Spain who deals with the international community. If we can get you on the right track to start off with, then you have a much more relaxed and enjoyable time in Spain. And so if we start with good advice from the very beginning for you, then it really does make a difference to your time in Spain.